All information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not consider your individual circumstances. You should consider the appropriateness of this information with regards to your individual objectives, financial situation, and needs. Welcome to Sharing More Than the Sheets, a podcast to help you and your partner make better financial and lifestyle decisions so that you can both focus on the things that you love. I'm your host, Michael Khouri, financial planner, green thumb, husband, and just dad. This segment is called Michael's Magic Moment. It's my opportunity to play a little snippet from one of our previous episodes, which resonated with our listeners, that I received feedback from, or I felt really had an impact on some people's lives. Hope you enjoy. If you had to ask me, I'd tell you that I'm a pretty good financial advisor. But how can you trust that? And how do you know I'm a great financial advisor? I could be making that up. In fact, how do you know that I actually am a financial advisor at all? In this week's episode of Michael's Magic Moment, we go back to an episode where I talked about just some basic tips on how to choose a financial advisor and what to look for, how to screen that advisor, and how to essentially suss them out just to make sure that A, they're legitimate, but secondly, that it's the right advisor for you. When it comes to choosing a financial advisor, it's like choosing any type of mentor or coach. Even a doctor, really. If you don't feel comfortable with your doctor, you're going to look for someone else. And yes, it's okay to have someone there just for the sake of it, but you cannot put a price on having a strong relationship with the financial advisor where you feel comfortable talking to them about your personal situation and you feel comfortable that their expertise is at that level that you are getting the best advice possible. So I encourage you to listen to the whole episode, but even this little snippet that I'm about to play does summarize some really easy ways to look into an advisor, to see what type of an advisor that person is. And I also highlight the importance of having just at least an initial discussion with a couple of advisors. And just going back to what I tell clients regularly, and my clients listening to this will definitely be nodding their head when I say this, but to go with your gut feeling. You know, so it's important to get advice, and it's important to look at facts and figures, but at the end of the day, you need to be comfortable. And this is where it helps to talk to different advisors, and it helps to talk to different people to essentially work out what type of person they are, what type of person he or she is, and really who you are, and if there's an alignment there or not. And of course, it's important to make sure that you're dealing with someone that's professional and someone that's going to be able to give you sound quality advice for you and your family. It is really important to understand how to identify what a financial advisor actually is. And it is through that point that I mentioned earlier about finding somebody that's licensed or who is under a license and is able to give you personal advice. Now, these people can be found on a register. ASIC have a financial advice register where you can actually search a financial advisor's name. And on that register, you can actually see some details about the history, how long they've been an advisor, what qualifications they have, whether they're part of any governing bodies, whether they've had any disciplinary action, bannings, disqualifications, etc. So a lot of that will actually appear on that ASIC register. And that is a good way to check that the person that you're looking at actually is a financial advisor. Now, most importantly, you need to work out why you're seeking advice. So normally somebody will talk to a financial advisor when an event has occurred in their lives, such as they're about to buy a house, or they're thinking of it, or maybe they've had a baby and they want to look at life insurance and planning their money. Or sometimes it's just, I've had clients actually say that it's their way of becoming an adult, and I've heard this from people in their 40s and 50s, by the way. So it's essentially one of those things where as you get older, you get to a point where you think, hold on a second, I see a doctor when I need advice on my health. I see an accountant to do my tax because I don't trust myself. Why aren't I seeing a financial advisor to look at my finances? And it's one of those things where many people don't actually understand what a financial advisor does. if you contact a good financial advisor, most of them are very open, and they should be very open with, what type of advice they give, how much they charge. And the most important point is, personally, when I talk to a client or somebody for the first time, we have a 15-minute phone chat, which I do not charge for. And the purpose of that is to work out whether that person needs advice, in what areas do you need advice, and whether I'm the right person or not to actually give that advice. Sometimes the call does go for more than 15 minutes, but the whole point is to essentially be very honest with ourselves. Me as an advisor to be as honest as possible to that person, but that person to also be as honest as possible to themselves as to what they actually need advice on. Now, most of the time, it's a lot more than just one area, and it's very important to talk about these things because you can't focus on one area and ignore the other 6 or 7. It is really important to look at things holistically and to understand that a person's financial situation is a lot more complicated than they think. And many times I'll talk to somebody and they'll say, look, my situation's really simple, it's really straightforward. But when I actually start getting into it and we start looking at different facets of their financial life, we realize that it's actually not that simple, and that there are certain things where, if we change something here, it's going to affect something over there. When doing your research on a financial advisor, a really good way to work out whether that person is credible or not, just like we look at anything these days, to look at whether it's credible or not, is to look up its Google reviews. So Googling that financial advisor normally helps. Their business should have some Google reviews. And alternatively, there's actually a website called Advisor Ratings, which rates financial advisors. And every financial advisor should have a profile on that. And if you search that financial advisor, it would come up with ratings from that advisor's clients. They give them a rating, not just 0 to 5, but there are different areas that they rate that advisor on, whether it's expertise, communication. And this is a way to look at an advisor from the perspective of his or her existing clients and to see how they see that advisor, whether they're happy with him or her or not, what that person's strengths are, and just to get a better insight as to how that advisor actually works. So thanks for joining us on Sharing More Than the Sheets. Please make sure you subscribe to be updated with future episode releases, and feel free to share this episode with any friends or family that you think it might benefit. Please visit us at sharingmorethanthesheets.com.au to submit questions or requests for future podcast topics. These podcasts have been brought to you by Better Financial Planning Australia. To book a 15-minute phone chat, visit betterfinancialplanning.com.au.